Yo, what's up? Welcome back to Reviews with Jake, where I just got done watching Antlers. Antlers is a story about a middle school teacher who gets close to a lonesome boy in her class in a very small Oregon town. Why is he so lonesome? Trust me, you don't want a Wendigo there. And now we take a moment of silence to sit on my horrible dad jokes. Okay, here we are at the second half of my 2021 Halloween double feature. First off was Last Night in Soho, and now we have this. Another really long-awaited film, one of the very first ones to get pushed back due to COVID, with its original release date being in April 2020. A year and a half later, I was stoked to see it then, and I was really stoked to see it now. Why? Because it's the Wendigo. No one ever gives the Wendigo love. We've seen every other creature under the sun in the spotlight, but we never get to see this one. And we really should, because a Wendigo story has everything that a horror movie could possibly want. A giant deer humanoid monster, cannibalism, dark themes, dark lore. I mean, it's just perfect horror movie fodder. I think the only visual medium that I can recall seeing one in was the video game Until Dawn, in which they didn't even have antlers in them. They more so just looked like Smeagol Gollum creatures. So I was ready to finally see Antlers in a very aptly named film. Well, let's just start the pros with the atmospheric direction, because my god, it was beautiful. Everything about this film is so dark, grim, depressing, void of anything remotely considered bright or happy. This film possesses a constant dread from start to finish, and it bleeds out through many different veins. The cinematography, beautiful compositions, very great camera movement, a lot of dolly work, extremely cool, lifeless color grading, very dirty ass lighting in all the right ways. The way this film was lit was such a brilliant touch. It takes place in Oregon in what appears to be the fall time of year, and every day just feels like it's a rainy day, very gloomy and foggy. Not that this particular plot gives you any reason to be optimistic at any point in the film, but the atmosphere really just hammers the nail in the coffin. There is no happiness in this film. Even when sad isn't even necessarily happening at any given moment, the atmosphere just never gives you a chance to breathe and exhale. It's relentless. It feels like an hour-and-a-half descension straight into a gutter. This is reinforced by an awesome soundtrack, so beautifully melancholic. Pairing the music so very calm and depressing with this grim atmosphere, it almost feels like Silent Hill. It even has the fog. And as Silent Hill possesses some great creature design, so does this. I think there probably is a reason that the Wendigo does not find its way onto a screen, because if it's not handled correctly, it probably can look dumb as hell. But that is not the case here. They made the gamble with this creature and centering a film around it, and it paid off. This creature was everything I was hoping it would be visually. And it wreaked havoc and dished out brutality in all the ways I was hoping it would too. This movie is bloody. It is disgusting. Savage body horror, dismemberments, mutilation, and it's not even all blood. There's even some black sludge that'll get puked up from time to time. This movie is just filthy. You feel like you have to take a bath after watching it for both your body and your soul. I also have to give Jeremy T. Thomas his respect, the kid that plays Lucas, the little kid. He crushed it. This movie asks a lot out of this little dude that's like 14? And he does everything he needs to and then some. Great acting performances are all over the place in movies left and right, but great child performances, they're a little more rare and far between. Everyone else in the film did just fine, but none of them were asked to do as much as this little kid did. However, he could only do so much. This film possesses problems that are far beyond his control. Most of these cons are found in the writing, particularly in the second half of the movie. The first half of the film really kicks things off in a very intriguing way. I mean, I was hooked. It introduces so many deep ideas, themes, scenarios that I was really looking forward to the film exploring. However, ultimately at the end of the runtime, I didn't feel like most of these themes were sufficiently explored. I didn't feel like the ideas were properly fleshed out. Subplots that get introduced that don't go anywhere or lead to anything consequential. It all converges in a third act, a finale that I found kind of unfulfilling and unsatisfying. It's really hard to discuss all of this without diving into spoilers, at least what I would consider spoilers, things that I know I wouldn't want to know going into the movie, so I'm trying to give you the same respect. But let's just say I feel like this film was very conflicted with itself. Through large portions of the film, I felt like it didn't want to be just a straight horror movie, just a creature feature. It was trying to be something deeper, something more metaphorical, a character piece. But then at other times, it feels like it is definitely trying to be a creature feature. Like it leans into the skid. It fills all the tropes that you expect to see in a movie like that. Like it's trying to satisfy both audiences at the same time. Yes, it is possible to do both, but it's definitely not an easy task to complete. And while the film has both sides of the coin, that doesn't necessarily mean it successfully pulled them both off. The balance just feels off, disconnected, disjointed, and as a result of having like two goals for the film, it feels like neither one really land much of an impact. It's like what Ron Swanson says, don't ever half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing, and I feel like if this film committed to either one of these paths, it probably would have been great. But instead it tries to shoot for both, and I wouldn't say that it necessarily failed at it. I mean, it was still a good movie, it just didn't really hit with the same oomph as it could have. All in all, this movie had a lot of things in common with Last Night in Soho. Both had all of the ingredients to be something great, remarkable, but ultimately aspects of the writing didn't let it when to go there. Sorry. Last one. But I think both films are incredibly well made, and they both start off on very interesting, creative, and unique feet. But then throughout the course of both films, they kind of lose their mojo. They don't exactly stick the landing like I hoped they would based on the first half. And yet they could not be any more different from each other. Last Night in Soho is very vibrant and colorful, whereas this one's very dark and grim. They're quite the yin and yang. Still, even with its glaring obvious faults, I enjoyed this film, probably even just a hair more than I even did Last Night in Soho, which I also enjoyed. I guess it's because, I don't know, just a grim, brooding person. I'm going to give Antlers a B. But that is just me. What do you guys think? Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay up to date. New videos coming real soon. Stay safe. Thanks for checking in.